Welcome back to the channel, folks. Mr. H here. Welcome to my review of Pet Sematary. This is, of course, the latest in a long line of Stephen King adaptations. If you are new here, you perhaps won't be aware of how I do my movie reviews. What I'll be doing is discussing non-spoilers at the start. You'll then get a really big fair warning for spoilers, and then we'll discuss spoilers. In terms of spoilers, I'm sure a lot of people would be completely familiar with the story, but I will still go into some spoilers because there's some things which may come as a bit of a surprise to some people here and there. But straight off the bat, from a non-spoiler perspective, this film actually is really good. I had a really good time with this. For those of you that are not aware, this is an adaptation of the novel by the same name. Dr. Lewis Creed and his wife, Rachel, they go from Boston to rural Maine, which is a staple location or staple setting for Stephen King stories, with their two children. Now, in terms of what happens when we get there, you've seen the trailers. There's a burial ground and things go astray. There's a cat involved as well. But like I said, I had a really good time with this film. Now, we'll discuss kind of good and bad, and we'll get into what potentially isn't so good towards the end. But realistically, this is a really good film. I can wholeheartedly encourage you guys to see this on probably the best theatre you can. And the main reason I say that is that although some of the visuals are a little bit of a letdown here and there, the sound design and the sound levels, it's just amazing. Like, it really is. It's probably one of those ones where you don't notice sound design all that much. But when sound design is especially great, that's when you notice it. And this really stood out to me. So I would genuinely encourage you guys to see this on the best theatre you can, with the best sound system that you can, to really immerse yourself in that stunning sound design. Now, in terms of the actors, we've got Jason Clarke, who, in my eyes, is a charisma vacuum. The last movie I saw him in was The Winchester, and he really is wholeheartedly a charisma vacuum. He's void of any charisma, but I will say this, in this film, it works. It actually works. He needs to be cast in more roles like this, because he's playing to his strengths here. He is... he's supposed to have a vast amount of charisma at the start, I guess you could say, but he is playing a burned out doctor, so it works. And he's not just playing to his own personality here, he does a really good job as a man completely on the edge. Amy Seimetz, great, fine acting, no issues there at all. John Lithgow, I love John Lithgow, I don't think anyone dislikes John Lithgow as an actor, or at least very rarely do people dislike him as an actor. He's a great actor, and he was especially good in this. And generally speaking, everyone was believable, even the two children. I won't say that the two children were absolute standout actors, but they were good and they were serviceable, and that's the main thing. I mean, one's basically a baby, so you can't really comment on their acting. But I didn't take a look at them and go, this is a real issue with the film here in terms of their performances. Now, it's directed by Kevin Kölsch and Dennis Widmyer. Their directing credits, they don't have a vast history of directing credits. Perhaps the most notable thing you'll know them for is Mama, but it's the second Mama. And they do a good job in this. I would expect to see very good things from them in future, and actually I'd expect them to be given an awful lot more in future as a result of this film, as a direct result of this film. Now, a lot of people who have seen this on advanced previews have been stating that it is, without a shadow of a doubt, probably the best Stephen King adaptation there is. I would probably, short of The Shining, and obviously, whether you believe it's a direct adaptation or not, I would hasten to agree with them. This is a great movie. I wouldn't say it's absolutely perfect, but I felt tension, I felt atmosphere, and, at times where there was supposed to be, real tension and scares and fears and things like this, I felt it. I felt uneasy whilst watching it. Stephen King is old school horror, and that's what you get with this film. It's not just jump scares after jump scares. It is unsettling, it is unnerving, and it's that kind of atmosphere and tension which Stephen King is so well known for, rather than just out and out, oh, I'm petrified, I'm really, really terrified here. It's not that. But it is that really uneasy, growing, unsettling fear, which you do genuinely feel with this film. I wouldn't say I was terrified or anything along those lines, but I was genuinely shocked in parts, and in moments here and there, I felt genuine tension, and moments where anything could happen, which is a true testament to the craft of the directors, as well as Matt Greenberg, who did the screenplay for this as an adaptation. Now, in terms of visual styles and things like that, there are a few little bits and pieces here and there which are not the best. Whether they are on a soundstage or not, I couldn't really work it out, but some of the effects do look a little bit wonky. It's forgivable though, and in my eyes it all builds as part of the tension and just adds to the overall feel of the story as well, the whole movie. But I will say it's noticeable. There are a few scenes, if you've seen the movie already, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. In the woods, at night, you'll know exactly what I mean. I couldn't quite make it out whether they're on a green screen or a soundstage. It was very strange. But that being said, it was fine. I really didn't have much of an issue with that. The overall sets and locations were great. There's a few nods to things like It in this movie. Not huge ones. It's just you can see a signpost for Derry. I liked that little interconnection. I wouldn't say that this is it's not weaving an interconnected Stephen King universe or anything along those lines, but it's just one of those nice little nods that you go, oh yeah, town of Derry, okay, I see it now. In terms of the pacing and the structure of the film, there are a little bit of a pacing issue here and there, but it's nothing really to notice. It's nothing that you're going to blindly go, oh, I really hate this now. You're not going to be clock watching in this film, not even remotely. But I will say this, like I say, is that there's a tiny bit of pacing and structure issues here and there. It's not a perfect film by any means. I'm not going to get wrapped up in how much I enjoyed it, but I really did enjoy this film. And most of the things which I'm picking on here is genuinely me just being nitpicky. I can wholeheartedly recommend this film. So that out of the way, because again, visually it worked, cinematography was great. The sound design is one of those things that if you've never noticed sound design before, go watch this. You will actually notice it, and you will go, yep, I was right, that's great sound design. So all in all, I can wholeheartedly recommend this film. I had a great time with it. Genuine tension, genuine unease, and a very, very good Stephen King adaptation. I wouldn't say either that this is, specifically a Kevin Kölsch and Dennis Widmyer film. It doesn't really have their stamp. I would say it more has a Stephen King stamp in terms of the old school horror vibe. But I liked it very, very much. So anyway, let's get into spoilers. So you've been warned, huge spoilers ahead, spoilers. The main villain, main enemy, the Wendigo, doesn't rock up in the film. I was half expecting him to turn up, just a surprise. But in fairness, I'm quite glad that the Wendigo didn't. It is the main reason for everything happening, or at least is thought to be the main reason for everything happening in the film. Anyway, I really like the ending to this film. As films go, and in terms of their pacing and structure, the whole family gets killed. Ellie is the one which comes back to life. It's not Gage, but Ellie comes back to life and decides she wants to murder everyone. And we close with presumably the death of Gage, or what would be the death of Gage anyway. And what we're left to believe is now just some kind of zombie family running around. But really, really did enjoy it. There's some great practical effects in this film. I probably should have mentioned it in non-spoilers. Well, no, in fairness, it works for spoilers. There's a scene where things start to go astray, where we see a hit-and-run victim and his brains mangled up, coming out half of his skull, and it's really great practical effects. Like, it really is fantastic. The makeup work in this film is astonishing, and I would say it holds up to most practical effects of the highest level. I was genuinely impressed, but more specifically just with that one piece, the one lad that gets his head mangled up and his body all mangled up. He dies, but he's a recurring theme throughout the film because he's trying to warn off Lewis Creed from doing anything untoward. But it was fantastic. That was especially notable, and one of those ones where you just go, yes, okay, you've got my attention now. They mean business here. The blood effects as well were great, and I've pointed this out in a few movie reviews and short film reviews. Blood really does matter. The colour and the consistency matters, but they had it pretty much on point in this film to a believable degree. Anyway, there's not really all that much else to spoil. John Lithgow's death was really brutal, and I really felt for the guy. There's some good build up there in terms of his character, and you do feel for the chap. So, you know, his death really did pull on my emotional heartstrings. But all in all, I can wholeheartedly recommend this film. The cinematography is great. The sound design is astonishing. And all in all, I had a great time. I don't think you'll be disappointed with this, not even in the slightest. So guys, if you have seen it, please do let me know. But I would encourage you to head on out to watch it. If you're new here, hit subscribe and to stay up to date on the world of pop culture, movie news and movie reviews. Crush that bell notification icon. Just as a quick heads up, I will be in attendance at an advanced preview screening next week of Hellboy, so expect my review on Wednesday. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I've been Mr. H. Take care.